For these 6 content creators, what began as routine broadcasts became their final moments captured forever online. From parkour stunts to wilderness expeditions, these are the stories of streamers whose audiences witnessed tragedy unfold in real time. It was March 8, 2018, and the late winter snow fell steadily outside a converted basement in Buffalo, New York, where the glow of RGB lighting and multiple monitors created a professional streaming setup that had cost more than 3 months of rent. Marcus Rivera adjusted his wireless headset as he prepared for what he had promised would be his most extreme challenge yet, his tired eyes reflecting the determination that had driven him to become one of the fastest-growing streamers in the competitive gaming scene. At 22, the college dropout had been building his following through increasingly dangerous real-world challenges that he broadcast live, combining gaming culture with extreme stunts that attracted viewers seeking authentic thrills. Marcus's streaming career had begun 10 months earlier, when he started incorporating physical challenges into his gaming streams, doing push-ups for every death, or eating increasingly spicy foods during difficult boss battles. What started as simple viewer engagement had evolved into elaborate stunts that blurred the line between gaming content and extreme sports. His audience, thousands of followers, had grown to expect bigger and more dangerous challenges with each stream. The pressure to create viral moments had led Marcus to plan increasingly risky stunts, culminating in his latest idea of streaming while performing parkour challenges in abandoned buildings around Buffalo. He had been scouting locations for weeks, finding a partially demolished warehouse that offered multiple levels and obstacles perfect for creating dramatic content. What Marcus hadn't fully considered was his lack of formal parkour training, having learned most of his techniques from YouTube videos and a few sessions at a local gym. He had been practicing basic moves for only 3 months, but his confidence had grown along with his viewer count. The abandoned warehouse presented challenges far beyond his skill level. That evening, Marcus began his stream by explaining his plan to navigate through the warehouse while maintaining commentary and interaction with his chat. He had mounted multiple cameras to capture different angles of his movements. His chat was excited and engaged, with many expressing both excitement and concern about the dangerous location. As Marcus made his way through the warehouse's lower levels, he began attempting increasingly complex parkour moves while responding to viewer comments and donations. His technique was sloppy but enthusiastic, and several near misses with concrete pillars and metal debris created dramatic moments that his audience loved. The combination of physical exertion and constant commentary began taking its toll as Marcus became winded and less focused. While attempting a precision jump between 2 concrete platforms on the warehouse's 2nd level, Marcus misjudged the distance and landed short, his feet slipping on loose debris as he tried to grab the edge. He fell 18 feet onto a pile of construction materials and rebar, suffering massive internal injuries as his cameras continued streaming the horrifying accident. His viewers watched in shock as Marcus lay motionless among the debris, many immediately calling emergency services. The stream continued for 35 minutes after his fall, with over 2,000 viewers watching helplessly as emergency responders worked to extract Marcus from the dangerous location. He was transported to the hospital with severe trauma, but died from his injuries despite surgical intervention. Marcus's death sparked important conversations about the pressure content creators face to create increasingly dangerous content. The incident added to ongoing discussions about how platforms should handle high-risk challenge content, especially as more creators pushed their limits on live streams. It was October 12, 2019, and the crisp autumn air in rural Montana carried the scent of pine and wood smoke as hunting season approached its peak. In a remote cabin nestled deep in the Glacier National Forest, the only sounds were the crackling of a wood-burning stove and wildlife calls echoing through the dense wilderness. Tyler Brooks adjusted his camouflage gear and checked his rifle one final time as he prepared for what he had promoted as his most ambitious outdoor stream yet, his eyes bright with excitement that had made him one of the fastest-growing survival streamers on the platform. At 25, the former military veteran had been building his following by broadcasting solo hunting and survival expeditions from increasingly remote locations, attracting thousands of viewers who appreciated his authentic wilderness expertise and military training. Tyler's streaming career had begun 18 months earlier as a way to share his passion for outdoor survival skills while dealing with isolation after returning from deployment. What started as simple camping tutorials had evolved into multi-day wilderness expeditions that he broadcast live, creating educational content that attracted viewers interested in survival techniques and authentic outdoor adventures. His military background gave him credibility that other outdoor streamers lacked. The pressure to create more engaging content had led Tyler to plan increasingly challenging solo expeditions, often venturing into remote wilderness areas during dangerous conditions. His audience had been requesting more extreme survival challenges, and Tyler felt compelled to deliver authentic wilderness content that kept his subscriber count growing. Tyler had been planning this particular stream for months, timing it to coincide with peak hunting season when large predators would be most active. He had chosen a remote section of Montana wilderness known for its grizzly bear population, an area that experienced hunters avoided during certain times of year. That morning, Tyler began his stream by explaining his survival plan while hiking deep into the wilderness, carrying minimal supplies to demonstrate authentic survival techniques. His chat was engaged and supportive, with many viewers appreciating his detailed explanations of tracking signs and wilderness safety protocols. As Tyler made his way deeper into the forest, he began following what appeared to be fresh deer tracks, explaining to viewers how to identify different animal signs while maintaining awareness of potential predators. His military training had taught him to be cautious around large wildlife, but his focus on creating engaging content and responding to viewer questions began to distract him from his surroundings. While setting up his evening camp near a stream, Tyler unknowingly positioned himself between a grizzly bear and her cubs, a situation that experienced wilderness guides know to avoid at all costs. The mother bear, protecting her young, charged Tyler without warning as his camera continued streaming the terrifying encounter. Despite his military training and survival experience, Tyler was unable to reach his bear spray in time to deter the 400-pound animal. The attack lasted several minutes as viewers watched helplessly, many frantically trying to contact park rangers and emergency services, while others attempted to determine Tyler's exact location from his previous stream footage. The bear's protective instincts drove her to continue the attack until she was certain the threat to her cubs had been eliminated, leaving Tyler with massive trauma that proved fatal within minutes. Search teams found him 2 days later after he failed to check in at his scheduled time. His GPS beacon had never been activated, indicating he was incapacitated before he could reach it. His camera equipment was found intact, having captured the entire encounter that was witnessed by over 2,200 viewers. The incident led to increased awareness about wildlife safety protocols among outdoor content creators. It was November 8th, 2014, and the evening air in San Antonio carried the scent of traditional Mexican spices as families throughout the city prepared dinner. In a modest house on the south side of town, the small kitchen had been transformed into a makeshift streaming studio with multiple camera angles and professional lighting. Carlos Mendoza wiped his hands on his apron as he reviewed his notes for the evening's cooking stream, his tired eyes reflecting both exhaustion from his restaurant job and excitement about sharing his grandmother's recipe. At 31, the line cook had been supplementing his modest income by streaming traditional Mexican cooking tutorials, building a loyal following of 5,000 viewers who appreciated his authentic recipes and warm teaching style. Carlos had discovered streaming 6 months earlier when a co-worker suggested he share his extensive knowledge of traditional Mexican cuisine with a broader audience. His streams quickly gained popularity among viewers seeking authentic recipes that couldn't be found in mainstream cooking shows. Carlos took pride in explaining the cultural significance of each dish while demonstrating proper preparation methods. The success of his streams had encouraged Carlos to invest in professional-grade equipment, including a large commercial pressure cooker that would allow him to prepare more complex dishes. He had purchased the pressure cooker used from a restaurant supply company, unaware that the previous owner had been experiencing intermittent problems with the pressure release valve. Carlos had been planning his most ambitious stream yet, featuring chiles en nogada, a complex traditional dish that required precise timing and temperature control. The recipe held special significance as it had been passed down through his family for generations. That evening, Carlos began his stream with characteristic enthusiasm, explaining the historical significance of chiles en nogada while preparing the ingredients with meticulous care. His chat was active and engaged, with regular viewers sharing cooking stories and asking detailed questions. Carlos planned to incorporate the pressure cooker into part of his walnut sauce preparation. To speed up the stream, he decided to pre-soften the walnuts and heat the cream mixture under pressure, an unnecessary shortcut that he believed would save time on camera. As Carlos loaded ingredients into the pressure cooker and sealed the lid, he noticed the pressure gauge reading slightly higher than recommended, but attributed this to unfamiliarity with the equipment rather than a mechanical problem. He continued explaining the recipe while monitoring the cooker, occasionally glancing at the gauge as pressure climbed beyond safe operating levels. His viewers were focused on his demonstration and didn't notice the warning signs. The pressure cooker's safety valve suddenly failed, causing the lid to launch violently across the kitchen, while superheated steam and scalding liquid erupted from the opening in a devastating blast captured by Carlos's multiple cameras. The forceful ejection of steam and boiling contents severely burned Carlos and struck him with blunt trauma, while viewers watched in shock, many immediately calling emergency services as the kitchen filled with steam and smoke. Carlos collapsed off camera, while neighbors responded to the explosion sound, calling 911 and rushing to provide assistance. He was transported to the hospital with severe burns and internal injuries, but succumbed to his wounds despite medical efforts. The stream footage became crucial evidence in the investigation, which revealed the pressure cooker had a defective safety valve. The manufacturer issued a recall after the investigation confirmed the equipment defect, while Carlos's family received support from his streaming community through organized fundraisers. A culinary scholarship was established in his name at the local community college. It was December 14th, 2016, and the winter evening in Minneapolis had brought temperatures plummeting to -18 degrees Fahrenheit, with wind chills reaching dangerous levels that prompted city officials to issue extreme cold warnings. In a small apartment overlooking the frozen Mississippi River, the warmth from multiple space heaters created a stark contrast to the deadly conditions outside. Chloe Martinez adjusted her winter gear and checked her phone's battery level as she prepared for what she had promoted as her most extreme endurance challenge yet, her breath visible in the cold air despite being indoors. At 23, the adventure streamer had built a dedicated following of 4,000 viewers who tuned in to watch her attempt increasingly dangerous physical challenges that tested the limits of human endurance. Chloe's streaming career had begun 14 months earlier as a way to document her training for extreme sports competitions, but had evolved into a platform for attempting viral challenges that pushed her body to its breaking point. Her audience had grown to appreciate her fearless attitude and willingness to attempt stunts that other content creators wouldn't consider. She had been planning her polar plunge marathon for weeks, promising viewers an unprecedented test of cold weather survival. The pressure to create viral content had led Chloe to plan her most dangerous challenge yet, spending multiple hours outdoors in sub-zero temperatures while wearing minimal clothing to demonstrate extreme cold tolerance. She had been inspired by stories of Wim Hof and other cold exposure enthusiasts, but lacked proper training in cold weather survival techniques. Chloe had been promoting the stream as a fundraiser for homeless shelters, creating additional pressure to complete the full challenge despite dangerous weather conditions. Her viewers had pledged donations based on how long she could endure the extreme cold. That evening, Chloe began her stream by explaining the challenge rules while bundling up in multiple layers that she would gradually remove during outdoor segments. Her chat was excited but concerned, with many viewers expressing worry about the dangerous temperatures. The apartment's heating system struggled against the extreme cold, and frost began forming on the windows. As Chloe made her first venture outside wearing only light clothing, the shock of the sub-zero air immediately began affecting her body's core temperature. She maintained her characteristic upbeat commentary, while her skin quickly turned red and then pale. Signs of the early stages of hypothermia that she dismissed as normal cold exposure effects. After her third outdoor session, Chloe began showing clear signs of severe hypothermia, including confusion, slurred speech, and loss of coordination, but she attributed these symptoms to fatigue rather than cold injury. Her body had begun shutting down non-essential functions to preserve core temperature, but the gradual nature of hypothermia made it difficult for both Chloe and her viewers to recognize the life-threatening situation developing. During her final outdoor segment, Chloe collapsed in the snow outside her apartment building, her body no longer able to generate sufficient heat to maintain consciousness. Her viewers watched helplessly as she lay motionless in the snow, while her phone continued streaming, many frantically calling emergency services. Neighbors eventually discovered her unconscious form, but her core body temperature had dropped to fatal levels. Emergency responders worked to rewarm Chloe during transport to the hospital, but she had suffered irreversible organ damage from severe hypothermia and died despite medical intervention. Her final stream was witnessed by thousands of viewers. Chloe's death led to increased awareness about hypothermia dangers and added to broader discussions about the risks of extreme weather challenges on live streaming platforms. The homeless shelters she had been supporting received substantial donations in her memory. It was January 19, 2018, and the bitter Minnesota winter had blanketed Minneapolis in snow and ice, creating the kind of isolation that drove many residents indoors for months at a time. In the basement of a small rental house, a makeshift television studio had been created with secondhand equipment, where the warmth of creativity provided an escape from both the cold and harsh realities of unemployment. Derek Thompson adjusted his tie and shuffled through his interview notes as he prepared for what would unknowingly be his final broadcast, his hands shaking slightly from both nervousness and the effects of alcohol he had been consuming throughout the day. At 28, the unemployed communications graduate had been hosting a late-night talk show from his basement for 8 months, interviewing local musicians and artists while building a modest but dedicated audience of 6,500 viewers. Derek's streaming career had begun as a creative outlet during prolonged unemployment and personal struggles, providing him with a sense of purpose and connection that had been missing from his life. His show featured intimate interviews with emerging artists, creating a platform for local talent, while allowing Derek to utilize his communication skills meaningfully. However, Derek's personal struggles with depression and alcohol abuse had become increasingly apparent to regular viewers, who had noticed his erratic behavior and slurred speech during recent broadcasts. His drinking had intensified as unemployment stretched on, and his relationship ended, leaving him isolated and struggling to maintain his mental health. The streaming show had become both his lifeline and his enabler, providing social interaction, while giving him an excuse to drink alone in front of an audience. Derek had been receiving concerned messages from regular viewers about his health and drinking habits, but he had dismissed their worries while privately appreciating their attention. His basement studio had become his primary social environment, and parasocial relationships with viewers had replaced real-world connections that had deteriorated due to his drinking. That evening, Derek began his stream with his usual opening routine, but his condition was immediately apparent to viewers who had been following his decline. He was visibly intoxicated and emotionally unstable, discussing his personal struggles with unemployment and loneliness while attempting to maintain a professional demeanor. His chat was filled with concerned messages from regular viewers who had grown genuinely fond of him. As the stream progressed, Derek began consuming shots of whiskey on camera while reading viewer comments about his drinking, some encouraging him to seek help, while others seemed to find entertainment in his deteriorating condition. His speech became increasingly slurred, and his emotional state more volatile, swinging between self-pity and aggressive defensiveness when viewers expressed concern. Derek continued drinking throughout the broadcast, consuming a dangerous amount of alcohol while his judgment became increasingly impaired. His viewers watched helplessly as he ignored their pleas to stop drinking, many threatening to call emergency services if he didn't end the stream. His eyelids began fluttering as he struggled to stay focused on the screen, drifting in and out of consciousness while the chat filled with increasingly frantic messages. Derek suddenly became unresponsive and slumped forward at his desk while the stream continued running, his breathing becoming shallow and irregular as alcohol poisoning began shutting down his vital functions. Viewers frantically tried to contact emergency services, but Derek had already lost consciousness and was beyond help. He died from acute alcohol poisoning while his viewers watched helplessly. The incident added to ongoing discussions about how streaming platforms should respond to concerning on-stream behavior. Derek's family revealed his long struggle with depression and thanked viewers who had tried to help him. It was May 20th, 2013, and the late afternoon sky over central Kansas had taken on the ominous green-black color that experienced storm chasers recognized as a harbinger of extreme weather. The atmospheric conditions were perfect for tornado formation, with wind shear and temperature differentials, creating the kind of supercell thunderstorms that produce the most violent tornadoes on Earth. Ryan Mitchell checked his weather monitoring equipment one final time as he positioned his reinforced vehicle in the path of what meteorologists were predicting could be a significant tornado outbreak. At 35, the insurance adjuster had been combining his professional knowledge of storm damage with his passion for weather photography, building a dedicated following of 2,000 viewers who tuned in to watch him track severe storms across the Midwest while providing real-time weather information. Ryan's storm chasing had begun as a hobby during college, but had evolved into a serious pursuit that combined his professional expertise with his fascination for extreme weather phenomena. His streams provided real-time information to viewers in storm-threatened areas, often giving more immediate and localized observations than official weather services could provide. His audience included both weather enthusiasts and residents of tornado-prone areas who appreciated his detailed storm reports. The success of his streams had encouraged Ryan to invest in specialized equipment and a reinforced vehicle that allowed him to get closer to tornadoes than other chasers, creating dramatic footage that attracted larger audiences. However, the pressure to create increasingly spectacular content had led him to take greater risks, often positioning himself dangerously close to tornado paths. Ryan had been tracking the developing storm system for hours, providing commentary about atmospheric conditions while positioning himself to intercept what appeared to be a massive tornado forming in the rural farmland. His viewers were engaged and appreciative of his detailed explanations, many expressing concern for his safety, while others encouraged him to get closer. That afternoon, Ryan began streaming live as he pursued the massive tornado that was moving across the countryside, providing detailed commentary about the storm's intensity and projected path while positioning himself at what H-gistered wind speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour believed was a safe distance. His equipment re-hour as the tornado grew to over a mile wide, creating a monster storm that would rank among the most powerful ever recorded. Ryan continued his broadcast as the tornado approached, providing warnings to viewers about the storm's path and intensity, while documenting the incredible power of the natural phenomenon. His real-time observations were being shared across social media by viewers who found his detailed storm analysis valuable for understanding the developing weather situation. The tornado suddenly changed direction and intensified beyond all predictions, trapping Ryan in his vehicle as debris began filling the air around him. His camera equipment began failing as flying debris struck his vehicle, causing the video feed to cut in and out, while audio became increasingly distorted by wind noise and impact sounds. Ryan's transmission abruptly ended as his equipment was destroyed by the tornado's incredible force. His reinforced vehicle was found the next day, completely demolished and thrown over 400 feet from the road where he had been positioned. Based on the condition of the vehicle and the severity of the impact, investigators concluded he could not have survived the initial strike. The National Weather Service noted the extreme danger of approaching violent tornadoes and reiterated safety guidelines for storm spotters and chasers. His death led to renewed discussions about safety protocols for storm chasers and the risks of positioning vehicles too close to tornado paths. Thanks for watching. Click the next video to discover more stories about when live streaming captures tragedy in real time.